Alright guys, it's ASBYT and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, as you well know, MWC has been awash in the news over the last few weeks, and obviously it has been on in Barcelona. Loads of massive companies like Samsung, Huawei, Xiaomi, all of them sort of companies that are, you know, talking up their new products, and no more so than, of course, the Samsung S9. That's why you're on the video. You want to know what the difference is between the Samsung S9 and, of course, the one that came before, the Samsung S8. So let's get straight to it. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been asking for this video and I've been trying to get it out as quick as I can. It's just been a lot going on at the moment, but we've got it here for you right now. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to have on the left-hand side, I'm going to have the information regarding, well, your right-hand side, my left-hand side, the information on the Samsung S8, and then on my right, your left, we're going to have the Samsung S9. Now, I have actually already done a video on the S9, which I'll leave linked here, and in that video, I do actually mention some of the main reasons why I personally think you might not want to go for the Samsung S9. Of course, all those points were just my personal opinions, but you might be interested to go through and check that video out after this one if you're still interested in either the Samsung S8 or the Samsung S9. Right, so number one, we're going to look at, of course, the form factor. The build quality is going to be pretty much exactly the same. It looks almost identical. The bezels have just got a tiny little bit smaller, but on the whole, the phone looks pretty much the same, and but for a few little things, you wouldn't really notice a difference. So of course, we're looking at the same size display, the 5.8 inches, and it is of course again a 2960 by 1440 display with a PPI of 570, exactly the same from the S8 to the S9. Both of them have the headphone jack still intact. Both of them have one speaker on the bottom. However, the difference between the S8 and the S9 is we have one speaker, that one bottom speaker on the S8, whereas on the S9 we now have stereo speakers because we have sound coming out of the earpiece at the top as well. It will produce a better sound as a result of having stereo speakers. Is it going to be groundbreakingly different? That's obviously down to personal interpretation. One of the main differences in terms of the actual look of it is of course coming on the rear, where the fingerprint sensor has been moved from the top right hand side to the right of the camera down to underneath the camera, which of course is a much better position for it. It's going to be much more comfortable, it's going to work much better, you're not going to get smudges on the actual camera screen. Now, the romantic in me would say, well, they've done that because they've realised a mistake and they want to put that right. The cynic in me would say, well, they knew it was a terrible place to put the fingerprint sensor on the S8, and one of the main reasons why they did it was actually to give them something to change for the S9, because they knew they weren't going to change much of that form factor, and are probably going to wait till the S10 or the Samsung X before they make a drastic change to the actual, you know, form factor of the phone. But again, that's just my opinion. You might think that they put it on the right-hand side because it made sense on the S8. I personally can't see it. So both phones have IP68 water resistance, so nothing's changed there. Both phones again have a 3000 milliamp battery, so in terms of battery life, raw specs wise, it's going to give you the same amount, but the next point is going to potentially help your battery life on the S9 over the S8. So of course the S8 is running the Snapdragon 835 or the in-house Exynos 8895, whereas on the S9 we are going to have the Snapdragon 845, which has been, you know, one of the biggest talking points of this year in terms of tech, how much better this new processor is going to be, or of course the in-house Exynos 9810. So these new processors are going to give you potentially up to 25% better, faster performance, and again with pretty much the same percentage, we're going to be looking at battery performance improvements on the S9 over the S8, again around 25 to 30%. So that's where the new processors are going to affect that 3000 milliamp battery. In terms of weight, we have 155 grams on the S8 and 163 grams on the S9. So the S9 is marginally heavier than the S8. And of course, much to many people's disappointment, on the S8 we have the Bixby button, and on the S9 we also have the Bixby button. There have been a few improvements on the Bixby button for the S9, a few, you know, software tweaks, for example, which we are led to believe will be heading to the S8 in a software release as well. So again, we're fairly similar on that Bixby button. So before we jump on to the final point, the final difference between the two phones, we're going to jump to price. So at this moment in time, the Samsung S9 is going to retail for around £750, just a bit under, obviously UK sterling. That'll be more in dollars and euros, etc. But that's roughly the sort of price we're looking at. Whereas, of course, the S8 you will know you can get for a lot cheaper now because it is a year old. So in terms of price, there is no comparison. You will be able to get the S8 cheaper than the S9. So you're sat there thinking, right, so you've gone through all the main points, and I'm not seeing, apart from the processor and the change of fingerprint sensor, there is no real reason to get the S9. And potentially you could be correct on that. However, the main selling point of the new Samsung S9 and the main feature that Samsung are really pushing is, of course, looking at the camera. And in that camera, there is a difference. No doubt about it. They've always had great cameras. Even the Samsung S7 had a good camera. It has improved along the line all the way through the Galaxy lines, and the S8 was a fantastic camera. However, when we get to some of the actual details, you'll start to realize where you're going to get improvements on the Samsung S9. So in terms of the megapixels, we've got a 12 megapixel camera on the S8 and a 12 megapixel camera on the S9. So on paper, you're not getting any difference so far. But that's half of the story when it comes to the camera. So with the camera, the S8 had a f1.7 aperture, and this was like I said, a really, really good bit of kit. However, we're now on the S9 going to be looking at a variable, and that's a key point, a variable f1.5 aperture to f2.4 aperture. And what that means is you can actually change the aperture and you'll see the actual lens move inside the back of the phone when you want to go into low light situations, for example, and it will widen to allow more light in, for example. And you can do that manually, or you can allow it to do its thing and it does it automatically as well. And that is a massive feature, especially for low light situations, which across the whole on smartphones is usually, generally, even at the top flagship ones, you know, there's a lot of work to be done. And hopefully with a bit more testing before I can actually say for sure, I would think that this is going to make a big difference in those low light situations. Now, before jumping on to another key selling point for Samsung on their cameras, I'll quickly just say that the S8 has a front-facing shooter with 8 megapixels and the S9 also has a front-facing shooter with 8 megapixels. But another selling point, like I mentioned, for Samsung is, of course, their super slow-mo. And what they've basically done on the Samsung S9 is allow for a 960 frames per second at 720p, which is really, really impressive. There has been mixed opinions about the actual true resolution of that 720p, but on the whole, that super slow-mo looks absolutely incredible with those 960 frames a second. So that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Samsung S9 compared to the Samsung S8. Do you have an S8? Are you looking to upgrade? Are you not looking to upgrade? And of course, why? Also, let me know in the comment section below if there's another comparison that you would like to see, whether it's the Samsung S9 versus something else, or indeed any two phones. If you're a Samsung fan, make sure you hit that like button because, of course, these two phones are both really, really good phones still in this market. Questionable prices on some of these top-end devices, but you can't really question the actual quality of these two phones. Share this video with your family and friends as well if they are indeed in the market for a new phone and they're looking at the Samsung S8 or the S9 this year, or just looking for more information on the S9 in general. Subscribe and hit that little notification bell if you're new to the channel and want to be notified every time I post a video, and I'll see you in the next one. ASBYT, peace out.